Welcome to Iraqi Dinar Update, your go-to source for the latest news, expert insights, and real-time developments on Iraq's currency, economy, and financial reforms. Whether you're a long-time investor or just curious about the dinar, you're in the right place. The momentum has been building steadily over recent weeks, and now we appear to be arriving at a moment that many have anticipated for a long time. Based on the latest developments, everything seems to be positioned exactly where it needs to be. From notifications to the start of exchanges, the system and the people behind the scenes seem prepared and aligned for action. There's a general consensus among reliable sources that the ideal window for activity is within the next 3 days. This timeframe seems to represent the culmination of a lengthy and complicated process that has involved countless moving parts, coordination between multiple agencies, institutions, and strategic partners, and the integration of financial systems both domestic and international. It feels like we are on the cusp of transition, right at the threshold of significant change. However, not all information aligns perfectly, and in an environment as complex and sensitive as this one, it's expected that perspectives will vary. While the dominant narrative points to the next 72 hours as crucial, a couple of alternative sources are suggesting that the situation may extend slightly beyond that. These voices are indicating that Sunday morning could also still be in play. Their reasoning isn't without merit. Often, in global events of this magnitude, where timing, coordination, and security must align with precision, there are contingency plans, buffer zones, and flexible timelines built into the process to accommodate last-minute adjustments, geopolitical shifts, or technological synchronization issues. This might explain the divergence in timelines. This brings us to an important consideration: Memorial Day, which falls on Monday. Historically, U.S. federal holidays, especially those that honor military service and involve national closures, tend to be slow days in terms of institutional and financial operations. Banks, government offices, and many commercial institutions traditionally close in observance. It would seem logical, then, to assume that no significant developments, at least on a public-facing level, would occur on such a day. That assumption holds merit. Memorial Day isn't just any holiday. It is solemn, symbolic, and culturally significant in the United States. Conducting major financial transitions or initiating large-scale processes on such a day could be seen as inappropriate or logistically impractical. And yet, there's a nuance here. If the process is initiated before Memorial Day, if it kicks off within the expected 3-day window, then it's possible, even probable, that Monday could become part of the operational schedule. In this case, Monday might not be viewed as a beginning point, but rather a continuation of an already initiated process. If that threshold is crossed beforehand, then the system might simply stay in motion, rolling over Memorial Day rather than pausing for it. That would suggest a form of momentum that supersedes the traditional calendar, a sign that the logistics have reached a point where stopping would be more disruptive than continuing. All that remains, according to these sources, is the act of initiation, what some metaphorically refer to as flipping the switch. This phrase carries weight. It implies that the underlying mechanisms are fully automated and that once the start signal is given, the entire sequence will proceed in a coordinated and predetermined fashion. There won't be room for improvisation at that point. Everything will unfold as planned. This switch, this moment of activation, is the last remaining variable, and its timing is both critical and confidential. The question then becomes, when will that switch be flipped? And who holds the authority to do it? While the specifics are classified or shielded behind layers of organizational protocol, the implication is that decision-makers are watching, waiting, and coordinating the final triggers. These final moments before initiation are often the most opaque and least predictable because of the need for absolute security and alignment among all participants. There are considerations of international timing, geopolitical alignments, economic indicators, and even media cycles that could influence the moment of initiation. But when the switch is finally flipped, it will signal not just a start, but a transformation, one that has been anticipated, analyzed, and prepared for over years. What stands out now is the mood among those who have been following this process closely. It is not just hope, it's expectation. There's a distinct difference between wishful thinking and the kind of grounded optimism that comes from real information. The belief that numbers are already in the system, and that they are accurate, approved, and waiting for release, adds a layer of confidence. These numbers represent the outcomes of years of negotiations, calibrations, and systems testing. They are not just symbolic, they are actionable values. And the fact that they are ready means that the framework supporting this event is no longer hypothetical. This readiness, though silent and behind the scenes, has implications that extend far beyond the event itself. It suggests that the financial, administrative, and technical teams involved have reached alignment. It suggests that all final compliance and regulatory steps have been completed, that communication channels are open and secure, and that global partners are in agreement. To say that all they need to do is flip the switch is to compress a massive web of coordination into one moment of activation. That simplicity masks the complexity of what has been required to reach this stage. In this final stretch, the community of watchers, those who have monitored, studied, and remained committed to understanding these developments, are entering a period of intense vigilance. The next few days are not just another checkpoint. They represent a window of real potential, a threshold that, once crossed, could lead to changes in how systems operate, how currencies are valued, and how participants interact with the financial world around them. For those who have invested time, energy, and often personal resources into tracking this event, the implications are profound. If nothing happens within the next 3 days, if the window shifts towards Sunday, or if the system remains paused through Monday, that does not negate the underlying readiness. The fact remains, the system is primed. And once readiness is achieved, the timing becomes less about if and more about when. Each additional hour simply increases the probability of activation rather than diminishing it. This moment may have been long in the making, but all signs suggest that its arrival is no longer in question. What remains is to watch, to stay informed, and to prepare for the moment when preparation turns into action, when the switch is finally flipped, and the future begins to unfold in real time. Thanks for tuning into Iraqi Dinar Update. If you found this content helpful, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a beat on Iraq's evolving financial landscape. Stay informed, and stay ready.